near the village of Nui Kemsan, we were hit, and this time it was a sniper, but they hit us harder. And the M79 man that I was with, he ran to a different side and he told me to stay there. Now, I was in the grass, laying down flat, and to this date I remember thinking, if I keep my head buried in the grass, and if the enemy comes in my direction, I'll never see him. But if I pick up my head too high, there's possibility that it's going to be blown away.
Oh, it was scary.
I was really green. They used to use the term cherry. I didn't know. I know the first time I was shot at, I jumped on the wrong side of the dike. I didn't even know, where it was coming from, and I had to have my squad leader, Rudy Sosa, kind of kick me in the butt and say, "No, dummy, on the other side. You're going to get shot there." So.
In Da Nang, you didn't see the enemy. The only way you saw the enemy was when you saw a whole lot of them. In other words, you would go out with 8 men and come back in with 4 because of booby traps and things of that nature. But that's the nature of the Vietnam War. Either you didn't see none, or you seen so many you didn't want to see none,
Down by the Calvet River, by the Two Cow Bridge. We've been on a day-long patrol. We've gone through a couple of the bills that were along the riverside. The lieutenant decided that we were going to go, when we got to the point we were supposed to be at, he decided we were going to go back and retrace our steps back through the 2 villages that we'd already gone through earlier in the day. There was a particular crossing area where it was almost like a creek that fed into the Calvet. So we had a difficult time getting they were having a difficult time getting the mortar tube and the apparatus down the side and back up the other side. This was probably about 50 meters from one of the villages we'd already gone through. My squad was the lead squad, point squad, and we were told to hold up so they could get the equipment across. So I set my fire team up as a defensive perimeter, and I told them I was going to go over and walk over to the first hooch, just kind of check things out. Now, when we come through earlier, there was nobody in the hill, nobody in any of the hooches. So I'm anticipating that there's nobody there, but I'm going to go check it out anyway. So my guys are set up. I'm kind of diddy-bopping over to the hooch, not really, kind of on alert, but kind of not, because we'd already been through there a couple hours earlier. Well, I get within about 5 to 6 feet of the doorway of the hooch, and I hear voices. So immediately it's like, okay, nobody was here earlier, I gotta check this out. As I got closer to the doorway, I was able to look in and notice that there were 4 Vietnamese men sitting at the table that was inside the hooch. As I looked closer, then there were weapons and grenades and different military items that were around them. So immediately, your instincts are, these are enemies. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go back, try to get back to my men and bring them up. I thought if I did, if I took that route and they heard me, then I was going to be exposed and dead meat. So instead, I went ahead and went through the front door, thinking that my M16 was on full automatic. And when I went through the door and surprised them, they jumped up. I fired 1 round, and I hit the first Vietnamese that was closest to me, thinking my rifle jammed, because in my mind I had it on full automatic, and in reality it was on semi-automatic. So in that split second that I had to look down at my weapon to see what the problem was, 3 of the 4 had already gone out the back door. The one Vietnamese that I had hit, he got up and started going out the back door. for whatever reason, and I believe in my mind they were coming back to get their gear, is they came back through the door, knocked the Vietnamese I had shot, he was wounded, knocked him down. They grabbed some of their gear, and then they decided they weren't going to get the rest, they were going to get the heck out of Dodge. So they went back out the back door. I was able to get my selector switch on automatic, and I fired again and took out the Vietnamese I had wounded when he was trying to grab for his gear. I believe it was Chief and Cowboy, my gunners on the M60, that heard the first round I fired. They got in position on the back side of the hooch. They took out the 3 Vietnamese that were trying to get across the river. But basically, that was my first face-to-face encounter with the BC.
While talking to these men, they mentioned the same thing.
My worst experience in Vietnam was Operation Union.
Operation Union 1 was our first major combat.
It was a big one. I saw a lot of stuff for the first time, came close to death.
I lost one of my men. He got hit in the head. I got hit on my buttocks. It missed my head. I was laying down. It missed my head and got my leg. And they had us cornered in there. They knew what they were doing. They had what is commonly known as interlocking fields of fire. And we lost many a man that afternoon or during the day. And there was a lot of men lost, a lot of lives lost, and a lot of men injured.
I was never so depressed in my life as I was that night after losing